Melanie. Delighted to meet you. Myself and Steve Evans here.
Hi, Melanie. Pleased to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you both.
Yeah. So, how's life in New York?
Muggy and hot right now.
Yeah.
I'm not enjoying it. I'm probably the only person in New York who likes winter.
No. Oh, I really love the heat myself, so it'd suit me. Is it really humid there because of it's a city area and it's built up, does it?
Well, I actually live in what's called a valley. So we are just like literally in a valley, and it's I don't know if that's why. It's awfully humid here. Apparently not as humid as Florida, but I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry, how long have you lived there then? Have you lived there all your life, or are you fairly new to
pretty much all my life. I was born in Washington, D.C. and lived in Maryland for a few years. And then when I think I was 3 or 4 when we moved up here. So pretty much the whole life. Yep.
Sorry, Terry, go on. Yeah.
No, so on your excellent website, getitwritingco.com, you list a prolific and very impressive range of testimonials about writing services. If it's okay with you, could we split this into 2 parts maybe? We'll talk about your writing and editorial services and then move on to your career as a fiction writer.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. First of all, how do writers get in touch with you? Is it from word of mouth recommendations? Because I know Emma Bruce.
Yeah. Yes. I simply adore her. I love her. She's wonderful to work with. Her books, I love her books, and I'm very proud to be her editor. I honestly cannot remember how we found each other. I think on Facebook. Most of my clients found me on Facebook, a few from Twitter, and then from there it's been word of mouth, and I have a lot of returning clients, which I love. We have great relationships.
It's an impressive list.
Thank you. And it's not even, I didn't even update it. I have to put, I don't think Emma's latest is on there. There are a couple I haven't put on there yet. I tend to get lazy sometimes. Oh, I need to update my website, and oops. But yeah, it's a good list.
Okay. Who created the website? Was that yourself?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Superb.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank you.
But yeah, it would have been Facebook with Emma, because she hasn't been until the last few days very prolific on Twitter.
That's
she
true,
used to use Facebook a lot. And now I've noticed over the last couple of days she's starting to use Twitter a lot more. So yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah.
Yeah, she put some good videos on there.
She has. Loads.
And I apologize if you hear a cat meowing really loudly. It's Sammy. I have 3 cats and 3 dogs.
Yeah.
And I don't know where Sammy is right now, but he has a tendency to meow. It sounds like he's saying mom. Yeah. So you'll just hear mom. I'm like, I'm right here. So it's kind of a zoo here.
Okay. I thought you got to say something like the cat barks and the dog meows.
Nope. That would be fun though.
Would be, yeah.
It would, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Clip on that on YouTube.
So does all your editing side of life, does that take up most of your time, or do you find it's the author side? I would imagine by the sounds and looks of it, it'll be your editing side of life, helping people out.
Yes.
Is that right?
Definitely. I definitely the editing and helping writers get their work published. That kind of came up because when I self-publish, I've self-published all of my books except 2 were with a publisher. And I realized there are so many writers who struggle with the process. So I just started offering that, in my services, and then book formatting, and, so I pretty much help them through the entire process, because I know how difficult it can be and how frustrating. And I kind of enjoy it. I mean, it's just my thing.
Okay. Could I ask who edits the editor's work? Who edits your own work? Do you do that yourself, or do you need a fresh pair of eyes on it?
I always have a fresh pair of eyes. I have a friend. Her name is Nay. She lives in Texas, and she is an editor as well. She has edited a few of my books in the past. I think the last 2 novels, my Aunt Jeannie did the editing, and my friend Tina does proofreading for me. because I tell authors, even if you are an editor, always have a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
You know, and even when you do, you're still probably going to have a few mistakes, and nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Even people like Stephen King, Mary Higgins Clark. I mean, I've seen mistakes in a lot of books, so it happens, you know.
Yeah, you're right. To be fair, I've seen most books I read, I've found an odd mistake or two, and that could be on third, fourth editions. You know, it happens.
It does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So when the writers contact you a lot, you find, or have you got to have a lot of communication back and forth through email, so you find out what they want, what you want, and what sort of stuff do you advise them on? Just editing, or do you talk about the plots in the book and how they can adjust that if it doesn't, or it sounds a bit flat or something? Do you do the whole range, do you? Or
definitely. Even if they just want just your basic, you know, line editing, just go through, you know, the grammar, all that stuff. I do it all. I will tell you, this isn't really sounding right, or this really doesn't align with this, and so on. Most of them take it very well. Okay, whatever you want, I trust you. I have had a couple who didn't take it very well. Well, I think it's great. It's my story, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, go for it. I'm offering advice as a writer. I'm offering advice. And a reader, I'm an avid reader. I can't tell you how many books I've read in my life. I love to read. So as a reader, as a writer, and as an editor, you know, I'm going to give you some advice and try to help you. If you don't want it, that's fine. At least I offer.
You know, if I was looking on your website, you're looking for someone to do the editing. I think the fact that you've got such a catalogue of your own fiction work out there, that for me would be a recommendation by itself before anybody else telling me. Yep. Can I ask what is the two-way communication between yourself and the writers? Do they send you a Word document and then you go through the update with Word with comments next to it, and then back and forth?
Well, they send me the Word document, and it's kind of half and half. Some people like the track changes where they can see the changes I've made and comments and stuff, and some don't. They're just like, I don't even want to see, just do it. But sometimes, you know, the track changes is nice because they can see what they did wrong. And so, because I think with Emma's first book, I did not use track changes. She said, you know, I don't even think she knew what it was, just don't bother. In her second book, she said, please do it, because then I can see what I'm doing wrong. So when I write my third book, but she's so fast with her writing, she's already been writing her third book. So when I get her the changes, it's like, oh my goodness, slow down. You know, but when I finish editing, I step away for a day or two. I give myself at least 24 hours, and then I go back and do the final proofreading. And then I send it back to my client, and then I say, please read it over. Just look at, you know, see what I've changed, look it over, make sure it's okay with you before, you know, before publishing. So it's a lot of email communication. Some do texting. I hate talking on the phone. I hate it.
Zoom meetings, team meetings.
What's that?
Did you use Zoom meetings as well, online chats?
Some. Mostly it's email. You know, mostly it's email or Facebook messaging. Some texting. Very few chats like this.
Yeah, I suppose it's the hard copy, isn't it? They need, you know, they need the paper rather than face to face.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I suppose it's difficult with if you're looking after somebody in the UK, you've got a time difference as well to think about, haven't you?
True.
And it's not always feasible to speak to someone at, well, whatever time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had a client from Japan, and I recently had one from Nigeria, and I don't even know where they are in time zone. So and I've had a good handful in the UK. So it's hard to remember sometimes, like, you know, oh yeah, I can't, I mean, I can send you a message at 10 o'clock at night, but you're sleeping. So,
Oh yeah.
Can I say about you say that you have an involvement with the development of a writer's work that's sent to you. Does that get mixed up with your own writing? If you're thinking about plot holes in somebody's own work, can you separate your brain, just sort of timeshare it, right? That's my personal, and that, you know, put that aside, the business writing.
Yes, yes, I can. I absolutely can. And the funny thing about all of that is I also am a ghostwriter.
Oh,
Yeah, so I currently have two clients. I'm doing one fiction and one nonfiction, and I am also writing my next novel. So you would think that between the editing, all the plots with that, the ghostwriting, and my own work, it would get confusing. It doesn't.
okay.
Yeah.
It confused me. I know that for a fact. I'd be writing another paragraph, and hang on a sec, that's from the other guy's story. I'm pinching it.
No, surprisingly, my brain is just it somehow works for me.
You're able to compartmentalize everything as and when you need to. I think I would struggle with that as well to a certain extent. Trying to juggle too many balls in the air, if you like. Yeah. So moving on to your own writing. You said you published a lot of your books as an independent, but you have used a publisher. Did you have problems getting a publisher? Did you find it was a pain to work with, or did you prefer the indie version?
No, she was easy to work with. A great young woman. I absolutely love her. I did take my books back from her because it wasn't anything to do with her. I wasn't making enough royalties. I mean, it's hard enough being a self-published author, but when Amazon takes a cut and then your publisher is taking a cut, when you get that royalty, it's like, that's all I made. Like, so, unfortunately, I did take my books back and I republished them, myself. But, wonderful lady. But unfortunately, unless you go, I think, with a big publishing company and like you are like Stephen King, for example, you're just not going to make as much.
Who does most of it? Is it 11 books you've got in total now of your own work? Is there 11 of them out there? I've got about 6 of them behind me. I think I couldn't get them all on one page. Is that many?
I think there's 11.
I think yes. I think 8 children's books, 3 novels, and I also publish journals for children and adults. I have another website. It's called the Melanie Collection, and that consists of my books and my journals, and soon it will consist of products such as mugs that I design, coffee mugs. I love coffee, so and so it's melanielyncollection.com, Melanie LYNN.com or collection.com. So I'm going to be putting product up there, and I'm also going to be adding product to Get It Right. I'm going to be creating writing journals for writers because I know how much of a struggle it can be with writing. And so when you get writer's block, how do you deal with it? And just prompts to help them. I don't know, to kind of like get it right. You know what I mean? Play on words. So a lot of exciting things in the works. I'm a very busy woman. I can't stop the creative mind. So, but so journals as well.
Okay.
Oh, right. Yeah. So, what about your children's books and your books you've written about animals and so on? Where did you get your inspiration to do that genre? You've got 3 cats, 3 dogs, but is that anything to do with it, or?
No, actually, I love animals. I honestly, most of the time, like animals better than people because, they're just so unselfish. I mean, cats are jerks sometimes, but I love them. It's funny because my inspiration comes from all over the place. Hammy's New Home was my first one, my first published book, and that inspiration came from my friends. They had a pig, and they have a little I don't want to say farm. They have animals. They raise animals, and to eat. And so they had a pig named Hammy, Sir Ham-a-Lot, and I met him, and he was just so cute. And so one day we were joking around because Hammy, he kept snorting in his pen and running around, and I said, "Oh, he just wants to be on the porch and visit with us." And I felt bad. I wanted him to be on the porch with us. So, boom, an idea. If I Were a Duck, that's a rhyming book about a little boy who wants to be a duck for a day. My husband and stepdaughter and I we went out to dinner at this restaurant that has a little pond, and they have ducks and geese. Well, we had to wait for our table. So I said, "Oh, wouldn't it be fun to be a duck for a day and boom. I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to write this down. You know, it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But the Border Buddies, that's fun. That is a series, an early children's chapter book series, and about my dogs.
Yeah.
So we had the 2 border collies, and then I had to do Border Buddies get a brother because we got hitched. That we adopted him. We're kind of like foster fails. We foster, and then, you know, we get attached and we don't give them up. So that's why all the animals. We actually had 2 other cats, but they died last year. So yeah, it's a zoo. But so Border Buddies, that it's just a fun little. It's when you read it, if you know my dogs, you can tell their personalities in the story. So Border Buddies 3, the 3rd one, is actually going to be released this December.
Okay.
Yes.
Who does the illustrations, Melanie? Did you do them yourself?
Oh, no, I do not have talent whatsoever with that. The illustrations for the children's books, they vary, but let's see, I'm looking 1, 2, 3. Most of them are done by, her name is Denny Poliquit. And I don't remember where she's from. She's from another country, but she's brilliant. She did the Border Buddies, Friends for Annabelle, Chrissy's Candy Shop, and I've referred her to many writers because she's just brilliant. The book covers for the adult novels, those are from Fiverr.
What is that, like a self-made? You pick one off the shelf type of thing, is it?
I have the vision for what I want the book cover to look like, and then I reach out to whomever and I say, you know, this is kind of what I want it to look like. So, and then they do it.
How does the business work with an illustrator? Do they get a share of royalties, or do you pay them up front? Is that how it works?
They pay. They charge for the children's book. For example, Denny charges like per page and for the cover, and then I pay her. Like I pay her a deposit and then I pay her once it's finished. I don't do royalties. That would be just way too complicated.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I've often wondered, is there a higher charge on Amazon? I know I helped a friend of mine edit his book, and he had a couple of pictures of a football crowd, football games, color images. And when we tried to upload that into Amazon, it came back with like a ridiculous price, like, you know, £40 or something, because of the color illustrations. It may be in the way I formatted it. Do you have any? No, you have no issues with that with Amazon with the color illustrations? No.
No.
It must have been some mistake I'd added in or done something stupid.
Yeah,
this is why we need edited services.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So I know you've already touched on this. I was going to ask what you're working on at the moment, but you've got a new book coming out and you're working on as a ghostwriter for 2 books as well. Is that pretty much what's taking your time up now, as well as doing your editing services as well?
I would say, no, I would say, I mean, the fiction book that I'm doing for this one woman for the ghostwriting, she wants hers, sorry, I'm looking at my cat, sorry. I'm wondering if he's going to jump on the rocking chair or me, and he chose the rocking chair. Otherwise, you would get to meet him. Sorry. So the fiction ghostwriting book, she wants that published in October, and I want my novel to be done in October. So that with the editing is, you know, it's kind of like, ooh, this is tight, but I've actually, I'm at my capacity for editing now. I'm not taking any new jobs right now because I'm working on 3 plus the writing. You know, the Border Buddies book is easier because it's shorter, but the novel, it's like, okay, I want this done by the end of October at the latest, you know, I have to get going on it. So. Yeah.
Tough times then, it's fitting it all in, really. Yeah.
Yes.
Very busy.
I do my best writing at night, though. I am not a night owl and I am not a morning person, but for some reason I do my best writing at night. And if I'm lying in bed and I have insomnia, I have a lot of trouble sleeping. And if I'm lying in bed and it's midnight, I'm going to get out of bed and come in here and I'm going to write.
Yeah. So I guess you don't have time for many hobbies then with everything.
Yeah, true.
You do
No, I don't.
Yeah.
You know, sorry to my husband, you know, I'll schedule you in for a date. I don't know.
Yeah, you go out for a meal and you go out for a meal and start writing about the fish in the pond or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yes.
But Melanie, you mentioned that you're a great reader. What other fiction writers do you enjoy, or maybe what children's writers as well? Maybe.
I love see, I write better than I talk. I love all kinds of books. I like mostly like mysteries, murder mysteries. I love psychological thrillers. That is actually going to be what my next novel is about.
Okay.
My first time writing a psychological thriller, so I'm a bit nervous about that, but I do love those. I love the classics. My favorite is Jane Eyre. Love Jane Eyre. I could read it over and over and over again. It's actually sitting on my desk. I don't know why. It's just sitting here, but I just love the book. So.
Okay. Is there any children's authors? Like, I know my kids, going back about 100 years ago, they enjoyed Maurice Sendak, Where the Wild Things Are. That was their favorite book.
Oh, that was my sister's favorite book.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes. Actually, I have that book. It was her old book. I loved the. I don't know if you've ever heard of. I don't remember who writes it, but the Nancy. Is it Nancy Drew? Is Nancy Drew was a detective, so it was a series of Nancy Drew and Trixie Belden. Those were my mother's books, and I used to read those, and I loved those books. They were, probably teenager books,
Yeah. So you've been enjoying reading and writing from an early age, Melanie?
Oh yes. I still have I have some writing of my own that I did, either handwritten or typed up from when I was a child, and they're pretty hysterical. Growing up, I loved the Babysitters Club book series. And so I actually wrote a short story, a Babysitters Club story. And I still have that. And actually, what I want to get into next year, I started it and I don't have time this year, but what I want to get into next year is a teen book series, kind of like Sweet Valley High or Babysitters Club. I have a name for it. And I'm actually going to have a co-writer with me, my very good friend and beta reader. Her name is Bethany Roloff. And she lives a few hours away. We used to work together, and she loves to read. So she's my beta reader. She gives me the advice. She helps me out when I get stuck, with the plot, Yeah. So we're going to be writing that teen series together, and I'm really excited about that one. I unfortunately had to kind of stop because I got so busy this year. So
huge market for the teenage audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned before you use Facebook a lot, but you obviously use Twitter. So what do you find is the best platform to use for promoting your services as an editor and a writer? Do you use the same for both, or do you have independent ones?
I think that I think as a writer, I would actually say I've been getting more into Instagram. I really didn't know how to use it very well, and I'm like, why do people use this? I like Twitter better. I love Twitter the best because it's just so, I meet so many writers on there and so many different people, and it's just easier just to chat, I feel. I found most of my editing clients through Facebook, only 3 through Twitter, but that's okay. But as far as marketing books, I think Instagram and Twitter are better than Facebook, honestly. So
yeah, that's fair enough. I think, Terry, you'd agree with Twitter, wouldn't you? Really?
Definitely. I think it's easy. Yeah, I've tried Instagram, and as you say, I can't get my head around it. I'm not sure whether it's it's just for pictures of things or stuff. But I think I'll stick to Twitter, Facebook now and then.
Yeah, and I also have a blog, so I find it difficult to post. How do you post a blog on Instagram? So I kind of had to Google how to do that. I guess you do a picture and then you're like, new blog, and then put the link in the, I don't know, so, but I find Instagram is really good. They have videos and you can do reels and stuff, and I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I would like to say I'm doing better at it.
Do you know, a couple of writers that I spoke to, me and Steve, a few weeks ago, they were telling us that they use TikTok. They sort of, they asked for a clip of one of these chats that we'd had. So, do you mind if you take 30 seconds? And they were saying that they're getting some like 1 million hits on TikTok. But again, I can't get my head around that. Just seems like a lot of stuff.
I don't really even have a desire in getting into TikTok. A friend of mine recently said, hey, you should you should post on TikTok. And I'm like, okay, number one, why? And number two, what's the big hype about TikTok? It's just a bunch of stupid videos. I mean, sorry, but I don't know. I'm a Twitter person all the way. So you know what? I don't know. And I love Instagram. I am getting more into that. But like I said, Twitter is just easier.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Terry and I were having a chat the other day about Twitter and putting the videos on there. Is there a length of video that you can put
2 minutes
Twitter
20 is the official. Yeah.
But we've noticed that Emma, for example, has been putting 8-minute videos, 9-minute videos on
20 minutes as well.
Oh, right. Okay. So I didn't realize you could do that.
Yeah.
Or obviously there must be a way around it.
Ooh, I've never done on Twitter. I haven't done a video on Twitter, I don't think yet, but on Instagram, I found out that if you do a video, well, Reels, for example, so the first time I ever did a Reel, I was like, it cut me off. It kept cutting me off. And I'm like, what? So I found out you can do 30 seconds, 60 seconds, or 90 seconds. You can change it.
Yeah.
So I'm like 90 seconds because I talk a lot and I need the 90 seconds.
Yeah. I
wonder if Twitter's got that same default in it and we just don't know where it is. But Emma's certainly found it anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know what's funny is Emma has just taken off with this, the Twitter and the Instagram and the Facebook, and I'm like, hey, like I was giving her advice when she first got her book published, and now she's giving me advice, and I'm like, hey Emma, I need help.
So what advice would you offer to an aspiring author, somebody coming into it fresh? What's the best way to go about things to write a book and getting it published?
Well, to write a book, my biggest thing to writers is your creativity has to flow. It's gonna hit you when it hits you. So don't beat yourself up. If you sit down to, so many people I see on social media post about, oh, I didn't meet my word count today, or oh, and they're so down on themselves. And it's like, just walk away. Like, don't get away from your computer, get away from your notepad, and just walk away. Do something else. Get your mind clear. The juices are going to flow when they flow. So you talk about writer's block. Okay, there are things that you can do for writer's block. And my biggest thing is walk away. Don't beat yourself up. It's great to have goals, but my creativity hits me when I'm walking the dogs or when I'm out to eat and I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to write this down, or I get my phone and my husband laughs at me because he's like, oh, here we go again. Just write. And when you publish and you self-publish, the biggest thing is market. But don't just market about your books. People, you don't want to see me just posting on social media about my books. You get sick of it. They're just posting about their books again. Yawn. Readers want to get to know the writer. So post about yourself, post funny clips about your animals, let's get to know you as a writer as well. So that's the best advice I can give.
That's brilliant advice. I don't think anyone else has said that, but it's a great point.
I was just going to say the same. That's the first time I've heard that.
That's right.
It makes perfect sense because I know authors that only time they use Twitter is to post about a book, a new book, or promote it, and they never talk about themselves.
My mate does, all it is, just buy my book.
Yes.
No, he's sick of it.
Yeah, I get bored. I'm like, no, I want. Why should I buy your book? Tell me about yourself. What makes you a writer? Talk about yourself. So
that is superb.
Yeah, definitely.
On that note, that's a brilliant note. Actually, we'll say thanks very much, Melanie, and let's keep in touch.
Yes, and thank you, and please check out my blog. It's called As Real as It Gets.
Yep.
I can send you the link. It's just a fun blog about me and the silly stuff that happens in my life, and it's real stuff. What you see is what you get. I'm just a real person, and I like to have fun. So
brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh well, thanks very much, and let's keep in touch.
Yes, and thank you so much for this chat. I had fun. You guys had fun to talk to. So.
Oh, that's good.
Excellent. That's nice. It was definitely fun. It was good, entertaining.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.